Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to our day 5 ELA. And we have a couple things to talk about today. Your assignment's going to be pretty easy today. Again, just copying notes that I'm going to put in picture form today. So you're not going to see me do any writing now. Those are the last couple of lessons for ELA. So today we're going to talk real quick, guys, about two more things that we're going to talk about next week. One is setting, and the other one is sequence. One of our reading skills is setting, which is a super easy one. Setting simply means, boys and girls, when and where the story is taking place. When is in specific time, as in past, meaning it's already happened, present, meaning it's going on now, or the future. So that's our setting, is when, and also where is like a location. So good writers don't flat out tell us where it is. They show us where it is by giving us vivid details and having us figure out where it is they're actually at. So you'll never hear a story of, I'm at the store and I'm walking to the to go get some bananas. Okay? You'll never hear a good author say that, but the author will hint as to where they're going. They will say things along the lines that give us clues that pick up where they're headed to. Okay? So we'll talk about that more when we get into our ELA section. So setting, super easy. I was going to make a full video on setting, but I said I'm not going to waste our time. We're going to go on to the next skill, which is a little tougher, is sequencing. And sequencing is our main events of what happens in the beginning, the middle, and the end, and they kind of go together. Sequence also goes hand in hand with another skill we're going to learn in the future, cause and effect. So a lot of times one event leads to another. And that key word I said was an event. So when we sequence things in a story, we place them in events. A good sequencer, someone who can put things in sequential order, is someone who's also very good at identifying main ideas. And we talked in class how important it is to identify main ideas. And main ideas, that's going to be a whole other skill and a whole other lesson that will be coming shortly. But sequencing is the order in which things happen. First, next, then, last, afterwards, okay? So those are also key words that we have there. And we're going to take notes on those two things today. You have two pictures that I'll put in, setting and sequence. They're very easy notes. Sequence is a little harder. You hear the word sequential, meaning put them in order of the events in which they happened. So if you're watching a good movie over the weekend or a cartoon show, try to sequence the main events in your head. It's okay to talk about movies and TV shows that you're watching. Even though it's not reading, you're still practicing these skills of putting things into sequential order. All right, so that leads me over here to my next big poster here, and I didn't talk about this yet with any of the groups. It's my active readers poster, and I've had it for several years, and it works tremendous because I told both groups that when you are in 4th grade, we are still obviously learning how to read. We're learning how to break words apart and sound them out, but not as much as the younger grades. We're actually doing the opposite. We're reading to learn. So in order to read to learn, we have to make sure that we are an active reader. So the first step we have in being an active reader is to, number one, think about your thinking. And that sounds like a mouthful. Think about your thinking, boys and girls. When you think about your thinking, it makes you focus on comprehending the story. And I'm sure you've had this done before, and I know every adult has had this too. Maybe you've read a paragraph, maybe you've read a page, and you physically are decoding the words, and you're not quite sure with what it is you're reading because your brain is elsewhere. Your brain is on another topic. You can physically read, pull the words from that story, but you don't make the ideas into them. That's where active readers have to go back and reread and comprehend that story. And that has a very fancy word, boys and girls, that you're going to hear me say, and it's called metacognition. Metacognition, which is a fancy way of saying to think about your thinking as you're reading. So practice. Hopefully you're reading on a leisurely basis at home. You're reading 20, 30, upwards to an hour at night. And as you're reading, think about your thinking. If you are reading something that doesn't make sense and you just keep going through it, well, then that's not the joy of reading. The joy of reading is to gain information and knowledge. So make sure, active readers, my number one strategy, and I'll do a little mini lesson of this in class too. We do a little activity that you guys will enjoy to show what it means to think about your thinking. I'll actually pretend to be one of your brains while one of you reads aloud to us. And that will be next week when we kind of talk about our stories that we get into. So make sure you are a metacognitive reader, which means as you're reading, you are thinking about the ideas the author's giving you. Because if you're spending a lot of time on decoding, or you're distracted, or sometimes your brain is in vacation, it happens. I've read paragraphs before of stuff that I'm interested in, and my brain is elsewhere, and I have to reread that paragraph again. It happens. It happens to good readers. It happens to adults. It happens to your teacher. So having the ability to know what that is, to be a metacognitive, meaning thinking about your thinking as you're reading, is a huge step this year for us, boys and girls. So continue on with your nightly reading, your daily reading. While you're doing that, making sure that you are asking yourself questions kind of throughout. Am I making sense of what's being read to me? Is this text too difficult? Are these words too hard? Am I spending too much time breaking words apart? Is this book too tough for me? And if the book's just right, maybe we're, at a different level with our thoughts, and maybe we need to just take a break on the reading for the day and come back to it when our brain is clear and fresh and all other thoughts are off the table. So the most important thing to be an active reader, can't stress it enough, is to think about your thinking. We'll get to the rest of these later. A lot of these skills you'll see. Number 2 is to visualize and create a vivid picture in your mind. To summarize, that will be a skill we'll talk about. Ask questions or drawing conclusions. We also call those make inferences. And number 5, to make connections. When you read books, you should make connections to other books and other movies or characters or things that have happened to you. So that is our video for today. Again, your assignments. Nothing needs to be turned on to me. You're just going to look at the 2 pictures that I'm posted below in the assignment and take our notes. Take care. Bye.